All right, so today we're looking at the RCF ART 915A. So this is compared, we've got it side by side to the 912 and the 910. And this little guy, we've had quite a bit of use for it, and it has sounded great. It has the same 2100 watt amplifier. This one's capable of 131 dB, which is a little bit more than the other guys, basically just based off of the larger 15-inch woofer being able to push more air. Has the FR phase and the bass motion control. So very clean cabinet. They've done a good job with the 900 series, just keeping everything looking clean. They did lose the kind of protective foam that we liked in the 710 MK2s, but they still seem to be just as waterproof, just based on how they make the woofers. So composite design, the grill kind of wraps around. Up on the top, we have a single M10 and a handle. On the bottom, we have a pole mount, and then we also have M10 on the side and on the other side over here. So on our amp module, we have, and I'll just unplug this guy, combination XLR/1/4-inch input. Have DSP settings for linear, boost, and stage. We usually just keep ours on linear. And then we have a potentiometer, which we typically keep all the RCF products at 3 o'clock. So way up there is going to be your serial number, and then we have the model number here. Then we have our heat shield, which is basically just convection. And then we have a power switch. And as we said in these other videos, be very careful to make sure that you are truly doing 100 to 120 volts. These are not made for 208. There might be a jumper inside of them like the 700 series, but we're not sure. Also has angles on them to where you can use these as a monitor as well. So just pretty cool looking speaker. We'll go over the specs on the 915 individually, and then we'll come back and take a listen to it. So now we're going to take a listen to the 915, and we are using our Palmer Grand Audition here. And we're going to play a couple different tracks, as always, just where you can kind of hear the difference on it. So the reason we are using these tracks is because they are royalty-free, copyright-free, and we don't get dinged for a bunch of stuff. So sorry it's not a huge selection, but it'll give you an idea as much as listening to a speaker through a microphone can give you. So we'll take a listen. So the bass drop is incredible with that 15. It definitely feels like you've got an 18-inch subwoofer. So we're not anywhere near max volume right now, but at that volume, it is definitely, with the bass motion control, getting way down there into the 40 hertz range. So pretty impressive for a single speaker. So now we'll take a listen with a different song. All right, now we'll take a listen to this with something that does a little bit more high frequency, just changing around an overall smooth sound. really clear all the way through the entire range. So pretty impressive. So we'll take a listen with something that's a lot more information and just a lot of noise going on to where you can definitively hear some things through. Kind of curious how this is going to do with this, because this song has a little bit too much low mid build up and kind of just low frequency build up. So we'll see how it comes through. So definitely held together, and you could hear all the cymbal and everything else that was going on. The only thing that was kind of crazy is that low mid buildup did happen with that 15, but you're able to EQ that out, so that should help out. So we'll listen to one more song through it and let you know our thoughts.
Today I started loving you again, and I'm right back where I've really always been. I got over you long enough to let my heart ache. Then today I started loving you again. What a fool I was to think I could get by with only these few million tears I've cried. And I should have known the worst was yet to come. And that crying time for me had just begun. 'Cause today I started loving you again.
right, so we're going to be talking about our thoughts about the 915. Having had a ton of experience with it as just a main, but we have used it in a lot of rental applications, and they have came back without any dents in the grill, which has been really good. And somebody actually plugged in DMX signal into it, and they lasted through that, which was great. So if it's my dream, just being honest, I really like more smaller drivers, so the 10s are great paired with a subwoofer. That way I can just let them do what they want to. But a lot of times people don't have the budget for it or the space, so this 915 is great because you end up having that 15-inch woofer, and then you end up having a driver without having to do a subwoofer, which is pretty nice. So we've been really happy with them. They've been pretty rental proof so far, and Tanner's going to tell you whatever his thoughts are as well.
They pack a lot of punch. They're really just good all around. They'd be great for installs. They've got mounting points, but even just from small mains or like drum wedges, they would be great.
Yeah, they've been very useful. I wish we've had a little bit more time under our belt to be able to tell you even more detailed review of it. But the horn actually does a really good job, even with the crossover frequency that it has, just keeping fidelity the way it is. So the 935s, we definitely have a lot of use on those, and they're pretty impressive. Because we did, how far would you say we walked out on that field that day? We were playing White Wedding, and it was pretty far out there.
It was pretty far out.
300 feet maybe? It could have been more than that, to be honest. So you could still hear the bass, though. Bass guitar was extremely clear at that distance, is what amazed us. And it wasn't just your high mids. You could actually still hear some of the lows, which were an open field and nobody was out there to absorb anything, but still very impressive. So as always, please hit like and subscribe, and just let us know if you need anything. And thank you for watching this video, and have a great day. So we're going to look here at the ART 9 series. Basically, it's just kind of their overview over it. So the very beginning of this, it just kind of shows how they've changed the game with the ART series. But I want to go down here towards the full journey. So we actually had the ART 500s. They were out in 1997. They were under Mackie when RCF temporarily was bought out by Mackie, which was kind of a sad time, and they bought themselves back out. But we had the ART 500s way back in the day, and those things were strong as all get out. Then we had the ART 7 series. It came out in 2008. Then we had the ART 7 series Mark II, and then we had the Mark IV. So we have had quite a few different ART series of the 7s, and now we're on the 9s, which are great. So the biggest difference that you're going to end up finding on here is between the 7 series and 900 series. 2100 watts of power in that amp module, which is crazy, and super efficient too. The power draw is so minimal on these things. So like we just showed, we've got our input output, all that good stuff. The transducers, RCF's always been known for incredible transducers. They've made things for EAW, many other companies that we probably shouldn't name, but they've been around for a while. So they've got the new 1.75-inch compression drivers in these with the Kapton dome, which I think is how you say that. Really does make a difference in the way the high frequency sounds, which is nice. So they have the Kapton, the titanium, and the neodymium, depending on which series you're going with. And of course, when you go neodymium, it's pretty expensive, but really cool. The drivers, we've always been super happy with the high frequency drivers from RCF. So here's a picture of that. They did really good with their marketing. Low frequencies. So the big thing that RCF has done with all of their cabinets is the bass motion control, which we'll get to in a minute. But we have never had a blown driver yet, which maybe we're just crazy, but we have had hundreds and hundreds of RCF cabinets, and luckily have never had a blown driver. We've had a few amp module problems, but it was actually just need to be reflashed for the DSP, and it was good to go. So there's their cast stamp things. This must be for the 945 because it's neodymium. So here's a comparison between the 945, 35, and 915. So you end up, you can see the big difference is you actually have the 4-inch, 3-inch, and 1.75-inch compression driver. And then also the 945 gets that neodymium, which helps out with the weight being lighter. And then you have the 212s and the 10. So see if we can find, so this is kind of neat. So you can use them, of course, this kind of common sense on top of a sub or on a speaker stand, or as a stage monitor, which we've kind of showed you more in the 910 video. We use them as stage monitors a lot. There's a horizontal and vertical bracket, and then over on the right, the way that you can install them for permanent installs flying, they make another bracket. So I was kind of misled or just didn't think correctly. The way they've got that diagram, it makes it look like there's two M10 points on the top, but it's not. You actually have to buy an accessory to be able to use that. And there's the names for them. So as we keep going down, talking about the new cabinet design. So truthfully, I think it talks about the embrace. Yeah. So the embrace on here, it does make a difference. And if you look at our kind of tearing apart the 935 video, you can see that the embrace, it just makes it a solid cabinet. We had problems with the original ART 500s that we had. It was just not rigid enough with a material that was not plastic, and some of the plastic would break. The extremely high or heavy high frequency driver could have problems, and it would just kind of make the cabinet, the horn snap off of it with the driver falling off. So very glad that they have put a lot of time into this, and that embrace also helps out with the sound as well, keeping resonation from being a problem. So the waveguide horns definitely makes a huge difference too. Anything from our HDL, back in the day, HDL 20s is the first time we had seen how they did the waveguide thing, and they just really do have it worked out between it and the FIR phase filters for you to be able to have a cabinet that pretty much has just zero linearity phase-wise, which is great. So the new vented ports, hey, look, they got lights shooting there through it too. So we put some green lights through ours to kind of show the way that the ports work, and they are engineered for each specific cabinet, which is pretty cool. So here we go, base motion control. So this is one of the biggest things I think the 900 series has. Of course, it's a bigger amplifier, and everybody gets super excited about, oh my goodness, this is twice the power, blah, blah, blah. So realistically, and my brother-in-law owns a really kind of popular car audio system company, and they end up, it's Incriminator Audio if you ever want to look them up, but they make some very loud stuff. They've got some 170, 180 dB records for just output from subs. So the big thing is really not that you're doubling your, a lot of people think you're doubling your power and you're going to double your output. You're working really hard to get that extra 1 or 2 dB whenever you get up in the range that we already are. So the extra power, that's fine. I'm really excited about this base motion control though. So basically, instead of using a high pass filter like they've used in the past, which pretty much just kind of limits where you're going to have your speakers be able to produce any type of low frequency without having some type of shelf or pad coming onto it, this allows it to kind of just have open range, free air, if you want to call it that. And it can go down as low as the cabinet can reproduce and as low as the transducer will try to reproduce, which is super cool. And whenever it figures out you're at a volume that that's not possible, it's like, hey, this thing can't produce 35 dB at, 35 hertz at 95 dB. So we're not going to let it go down that low anymore. So the cabinet is continuously working through DSP to just make ranges in small woofers that has never happened before. There's a lot of times of that 15, the 915, that you don't even need a sub depending on what volume you're doing. So FIR phase kind of explains what it's doing. There's a white paper on there to explain it even further in detail, but pretty cool. It ends up with each particular cabinet, making sure that it's completely phase coherent, and it ends up making it just sound incredible, and all the sound coming from the cabinet hits you at the same time. And they're not using EQ, which is going to kind of color and script the phase. So pretty neat. They did good with their marketing. RCF redoes their website pretty often.